Paul Stadler is optimistic about the future. He's the first district mayor in Vienna who's a member of the right-wing Freedom Party. For months, the Freedom Party and its candidate for president, Norbert Hofer, have been speaking out against refugees, and that has increased their popular support. Stadler believes that the party now has momentum, and he wants to win over more voters in his district. But can he? Paul Stadler is an old-school local politician. He's been doing this kind of work in his district for 30 years. He feels pretty good about the situation right now.
We're getting a lot of encouragement from people. Everyone says they hope our candidate will win. We do too. I couldn't think of anything better.
The Freedom Party's candidate for president is Norbert Hofer. His party wants to take the helm in Austria, and soon. Stadler has a clear plan. A year ago, in local elections, he was chosen as Vienna's first Freedom Party district mayor, and he did it in the borough of Simmering, for decades a stronghold of the Social Democrats. Simmering is a typical working-class district, with lots of subsidized housing. No wonder the Social Democrats did well here. But the district has fallen on hard times, and right-wing populists like Stadler have used that to their advantage.
Hallo, tja, wie geht's?
Gut, danke.
Wo bist du hier unterwegs?
Ich war einkaufen.
Ja, wir marschieren jetzt zum Stronghold, gell?
Stadler likes to stay in close contacts with his constituents. They like that. And that's one of the reasons they vote for the Freedom Party, despite the fact that some critics accuse presidential candidate Hofer of representing far-right extremist views. This shift to the right seems out of place in a city known for its horse-drawn carriages, coffee houses, and St. Stephen's Cathedral. The presidential campaign has gone on for nearly a year. In July, a court overturned the results of the election that was held in May and said the vote would have to be repeated. This situation has left Austria deeply divided, with pro-European moderates squaring off against the right-wing populists of the Freedom Party. The Freedom Party has scored points by criticizing Austria's policy on refugees.
Weil
A lot of people feel the state has let them down. They toss 100 euros to the pensioners, but during the winter, a lot of those people aren't going to be able to afford food. But there seem to be plenty of supplies for all those refugees.
The fact that the Freedom Party took Simmering has had a huge effect. People will see that this party can play by the rules. And when that happens, things will be a lot different.
Right now, Stadler has an appointment at City Hall. He's at a press conference with his Freedom Party colleague, Johann Gudenus. Stadler reminds the reporters that this is an important anniversary for him.
The Freedom Party and I have been representing the district of Simmering for 1 year. People ask me, what have you done to make the district better? And I say, you can't change things overnight. First of all, I don't have an absolute majority in the district. Second, I have to deal with at least 2 different political factions while I'm trying to get something done.
Vienna is governed by an SPD Green coalition. Still, the Freedom Party is the second largest party in the city. This allowed them to appoint one of the deputy mayors, Johann Gudenus. But he doesn't have any real power.
As deputy mayor, I've tried to put together my own portfolio, so to speak. And that means stay close to the people, stay close to the working people of Vienna, and generally keep an eye on things.
The Freedom Party also supports maintaining public order.
We don't want to have panhandlers bothering people all over the city. And we want to crack down on the panhandler mafia and human traffickers. We want Vienna to become a safe city once again.
Going down.
This year, Vienna was once again chosen as the world's best city to live in. The Freedom Party doesn't see things quite that way, but opposition parties are supposed to complain.
I could do things differently because, technically speaking, I'm not part of the opposition. I'm the only Freedom Party district mayor in Vienna. I have to get things done, but it's hard sometimes because the party executive committee gets in my way. I can't always do what I want.
But everyone in the Freedom Party can agree on one thing.
We're concerned about foreigners. We have to provide accommodations for them and jobs. And what about their relatives?
That's a pretty tough way to describe Europe's refugee crisis. The right-wing populists and moderates disagree sharply on how the situation should be resolved. Your reaction to this long election campaign?
It's sad.
Why?
The politicians should try harder to get along with each other and be more polite to each other. I don't like all these threats.
Why do you think they do that?
It's all this arguing about the foreigners. Austria has always been made up of different ethnic groups. There are good people and bad people among them, just like us.
This is the city center district of Neubau. A lot of people who live here don't like the Freedom Party at all. The district is governed by the Green Party. A lot of students, artists, and academics live here. It's quite different from the working-class streets of Zimmering. There are lots of coffee houses here. People often meet there to talk politics.
I think you simply have to vote for van der Bellen, the independent candidate. Hofer's statements are so radical and awful, especially considering Austria's history. I don't even want to think about it.
I don't like all these personal attacks. They don't talk about policy anymore. I think it's a real shame.
We've come to this coffee shop to meet political consultant Norbert Hofer. He's not surprised by the Freedom Party's success.
Diese anti-establishment Botschaft, die man in anderen Ländern mit den Vereinigten Staaten.
The anti-establishment rhetoric that's become so popular in countries like the US has been around in Austria for years. The Freedom Party has done a good job of focusing on a few key issues. Well, one key issue to be precise, anti-immigration. They were talking about that back in the 1980s and early 90s. And now that theme has become popular again because of the refugee crisis. And the Freedom Party is simply using that to its advantage.
And the Freedom Party has become quite skilled at using social media to step up the rhetoric against refugees.
They keep reminding people that they'd predicted there'd be problems, like last fall when all those refugees showed up at the main train station. That was a huge event for the Freedom Party.
Paul Stadler doesn't waste much time thinking about refugee policy. He doesn't have any refugees in his district.
How you doing? How about this cold, huh? Well, we'll just have to get through it. Storm, snow, whatever.
The Freedom Party often hands out leaflets on the streets to maintain close ties with local voters.
I'm voting for Hofer. I've been a Freedom Party supporter for a long time.
Why?
It's the best party, in my opinion. I've got 6 Yugoslavs living in my building. Enough said.
What's the problem?
I can't sleep at night because the kids are running around their apartment like elephants.
The Freedom Party has been campaigning on a platform of social equality under the slogan Austrian Homeland.
He's the right man for us. He really understands people, and we know what sort of guy he is.
Patriotic populism. That's a pretty vague platform.
There may be a little propaganda behind that.
How do you deal with that?
I don't. I'm working hard for Zimmering. I'm working for my district and nothing else. Sure, some people are trying to push this patriotic sense of community, but all I care about is my district, nothing else.
Paul Stadler has played an active role in politics in his district since 1985. The politicians used to shun him because of his affiliation with the Freedom Party. But now he's acquired some political power. And the Freedom Party is looking ahead to the next national parliamentary elections. They want to win, so they're leaving nothing to chance.